Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Constance the Reader, and today we're going to be doing my June reading wrap up. So I did a really good job in the month of June. I read 30 books. Again, I think I read 30 books in May as well. I'm doing a good job, but it didn't seem like that at first. I guess for as quickly as this year is going, June felt the longest to me because I know at some point in the month of June, I got into like a reading slump with all the manga I was reading. And towards the end of June, I thought, man, I really didn't read that much. But when I compiled everything together and saw what I actually read, I actually did read a lot of manga. I read 25 volumes of it. So that's the majority of where like the bulk of this comes from for the 30 books I read. So I actually did a pretty decent job. But besides that, the month of June, it was not the best month. Obviously we got some very bad news with a draft being leaked from the Supreme Court. We are now in July and we saw the horrible effects of that, but we should get into that later. So the month of June felt really long, even though it went by pretty fast. Yeah, very, very crazy wild ride, but we're going to get into what I read in June. So I'm going to start off by saying I read the whole series of Chainsaw Man. I don't really know how I would rate this series. I liked it, but I have to say up until I got to volume 9, I was very confused, very lost. I had no idea what was going on. But then volume 9 is the saddest, and that's when there's a death that happens after all these other deaths that have happened that are also very sad, where it's like, oh shit, okay, I see the plan coming together. So I know I've gone over this before. I'm going to do a quick little explanation. So Chainsaw Man, it's following the main character Denji. He has to work for the mob at the very beginning of this series with Mafia because his father had a bunch of debts. He does all these odd jobs that are sometimes gross, very brutal, gory, killing, blah, 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 blah. And at one point he makes a deal with a devil, the chainsaw devil, that looks like a little dog with a chainsaw coming out of its head, because he's dying and because there's a setup situation going on, and he becomes Chainsaw Man. So he lets a devil take control of him, and from there we discover more of the world that this takes place in, where there are humans that are trying to kill devils that are bad, but then some of them make pacts with devils. Then there's characters like Power. Honestly, I know I'm not doing a good job of explaining the whole thing because like I said, I was lost for the vast majority of the series. I had no idea what was going on. I had to go back and look at like, what's the difference between Denji and everybody else? Then everybody's trying to take out Denji. Why is that? What's the whole point of it? You get a little bit more information later on. So while I did really enjoy this series, and just so you know, even though it was volumes 1 through 11, this is just the arc of the series. So this is one arc, and there's going to be another one that comes out later. I'm not sure when. I'm sure it'll be next year sometime, but I was lost. So one thing I know that I want to do is reread this series from the beginning now that I have a better understanding, and I'm going to try to do a better job of understand what the hell's going on. But I still would recommend it. It's only 11 volumes for this arc, so give it a try. Definitely gory, has some sad moments. Like I said, volume 9 really got me. A lot of people talked about how that was going to be a really, really sad volume, and it was. It absolutely was. Next, I read some more of Nana. So I read volumes 9 through 15. Like I said in my last like wrap up or whatever, like I stopped at 9 because 9 is like the biggest volume so far in the series. And honestly, I've kind of lost my momentum with the series. I really, really liked the first like 5 or so volumes of this. I loved the relationship that Nana and Nana had with each other. It has since had a situation happen where they're kind of split, they're kind of not. And now the drama just seems like, okay, I'm very, very confused. So I don't hate this series. I'm just not enjoying it as much because we finally have like our really shitty like villain character to me. And honestly, Nana, Hachi is just making so many decisions that piss me off. Something's going on with Ren. I don't know. I'm going to finish this because my friend Neptune was very, very nice and let me borrow all of her copies. So I feel as though I have to read this because of her kindness. And it's one of her favorites. So I really do want to give it a shot. Like I said, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's kind of like, you know, I preferred when everybody was single and having fun and just trying to make it work versus where we're at now. And I don't want to spoil it because I know some people haven't read this. When I eventually finish it, I do want to do a review of everything with spoilers because the drama is intense. Okay, people are fucking each other. People are getting high now, doing some drugs, white powdery substances. We got some cheating. We've got a porn star. Like, it's just a whole lot of stuff going on. So, still very interesting. Still gonna keep going, but I definitely feel like, okay, I prefer those first few volumes where we're just young and having fun and single and we're rocking out. That's what I miss. All right, I read 2 volumes of Bleach, volume 3 and 4. Still getting better, but I just don't understand what's wrong with me. I am only reading like 1 or 2 volumes of this a month. And I know I've had the box set for a while. At least since the beginning of the year. I'm just surprised that it's taking me so long to get through these, since I'm pushing through so many. But I think this is where like I kind of started to feel a slump because I just wasn't like reaching for anything to pick up. So that's not what I wanted, but it's okay. This is why I am going to combine my TBR in this video because it's very small. Obviously I'm pretty good as a mood reader of picking things up as I go, but I think the commitments that I've made to trying to read the manga that I own is kind of putting me in a slump here and there. So I don't want to do that this time. I'm just going to take my time. I have the first 21 volumes, so I'm just going to keep pushing through, but in a nice, even way. But still really liking Bleach. I just don't know what's up with me with not picking it up as often. Hunter x Hunter, I read volumes 11 through 15. I did give myself a break like early on. I think I read the first like volumes that I read at the beginning of the month of June really quickly, and I was like, you know what? Let me try to refocus somewhere else. And I think that's when I started to pick all of Chainsaw Man up. Because like I said, June weirdly went by fast, but it didn't feel that way. So it feels like it happened so long ago. But I distinctly remember knocking out these volumes very quickly and then picking up Chainsaw Man. So still loving it. We're in the Greed Island arc right now, which I'm still loving. And yeah, it's just fun. Like I said, I've watched this series and I loved it. I'm really excited to continue to read the series. Obviously, there's a few volumes that it went past the anime, and then we just recently found out that the creator is making some new chapters. So I'm really excited to finish the series eventually. And the newest volume, volume 5 of Maruko-chan came out. Really loved it. Honestly, I do feel like this is a series though that you have to kind of read multiples at one time, because like just to read this on its own, it is kind of like, okay, still liking it, but I want to keep reading the series because I do enjoy it. But I think the next few volumes that come out, I'm going to not read them immediately, and I'm going to find out like how many volumes are going to be in this series, and then I might just read them in one sitting so I can keep with the story, because like these are really, really short, and there's still some stuff that are going on. There's still some stuff that's going on in here. Some players are trying to manipulate the girls, okay, and we're finding that out, but then it stops abruptly because it's so short. So I would say this: if you're going to read this series, just know that it's going to end kind of abruptly, and you'll feel like, well, not much happened. So like technically, did much happen in this volume? No. But if you read the series as a whole so far, so much is happening that it's really hard to say like this volume is really great. I think the series as a whole is really great. So moving on. Next, I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown. So at this point, I've read all 3 books in the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. And obviously, I think I've mentioned this before, I already really liked Danny and Zaf. And I read, it's Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown. So I read Danny's book earlier this year. Loved it. Okay, so Eve is the youngest sister of all the Brown sisters. There's Chloe and Danny. Eve is the one that is like so different from her sisters. You know, you have Danny, who's very career driven, very like wanting to be educated and then educate. She is very like in your face, but like she knows who she is. Then you have Chloe, who's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more introverted, but you know, she still is driven in her own way. They both have careers, and that's the thing that is so different from Eve. Eve is very, very, very free-spirited. She doesn't have anything that she necessarily like wants to do that would like be like her passion the way that it is for Danny. So in a way, even though Danny's book is always going to be my favorite, and I love Danny, I guess I can kind of relate to Eve because, like, for me personally, I just have a job because I have to make money. Do I love my job? No. I don't think I will ever have a job that I love because I don't dream of labor. When people ask me what my dream job is, I don't have one. I just want to make enough money to be comfortable for me and my husband to have a savings so we can retire one day and just do absolutely fucking nothing. I do not care about work. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you should not feel bad if you don't have a passion per se. Because I'm not passionate about anything in that way. Okay, I know a lot of people ask, like, if you could make BookTube like a job, would you? I don't think I would want to do it if it was a job. It would be nice to get paid, but at the same time, there would be a certain pressure to perform and to like maybe read things that I didn't necessarily want to read just so I would have content. And with that being said, I don't want to do that because I just want to have fun. That's what this whole thing's for. But anyway, so that's how Eve is. I really like her. And at the start of this book, Eve has lost a job and her parents are like, hey, Eve, we love you so much. You know, we're always going to support you, but we really need you to find some type of stability because like you need to be self-sufficient and we can't keep funding all of the stuff. So she was trying to be a wedding planner. Her friend does contact her to do something like that. And then that's like the thing that's like hanging in the balance that might mess up like the main plot of the story. So she sees a job to be a cook in a bed and breakfast. And she doesn't have a resume. She just on a whim, because that's very Eve, goes to see if she can apply to have the job. Why not? It's just something to do. And in enters, you know, the person who will be the love interest. And I'm pretty sure his name is Jacob. If I'm wrong, you'll see his name beside me somewhere. If I'm right, then I'm amazing. Did not like him. Did not like him at all. So every single boyfriend in this series obviously is grumpy. Zaf, I like the most. Red exists. I don't like his character at all. And then now we have Eve's boyfriend, whom I really do not like either. Not a fave. So he is rude. He is judgmental. He's very quick to shit on people. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. He's a little bit too much in my opinion. So with that being said, he's kind of there. And yeah, so she wants to work here. Some things happen. She ends up being able to. They get along somehow, even though he's very curmudgeon-y, I suppose. But the other part of it is that I believe that Jacob has autism, or he's on the spectrum. Him dealing with Eve kind of makes her realize, I think I might actually have autism too. And that was the only part of their relationship that I found like, I kind of just wish that they would be friends, because I just do not like him as a person. He just seemed, I mean, first of all, he was very rude to the geese. Okay. I didn't like that. I didn't like him being rude to the geese. Let geese live. Okay. Anyway, yeah, not my favorite book of the series, but yeah, I mean, it's still going to be Zaf and Danny for me. That wasn't the best explanation. It wasn't the worst book. I think, again, this is one of those things where, like, I like Chloe. I like Eve. I kind of just want to read about them without the men, because I hated Red. And essentially, I think the reason why I didn't like it was because it was literally almost exactly the same, like, miscommunication trope that Chloe and Red had, that Eve and Jacob had. it's just like, wow, you guys really cannot stop and take a breath. You are instantly angry. You don't communicate. You just fly off the handle and say something that is just so vile. I don't understand why or how either of these women wants anything to do with you. Because if it were me, if they were my friends, I would be like, I just don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. They are shitty to me. I just don't like them. So I think you should read the series, and I think that you will love the Brown sisters. I think you will love their grandma. You will love so many things about them. But Danny and Zeph are always going to be my fave. I love Eve. I love Chloe. But the other two white guys, like their two boyfriends, I just did not like them. I'm sorry. I just have to say it. I don't like them. Next, I read book 5, and it was Egg Drop Dead by Vivian Chen of the Noodle Shop Mystery. So fucking good. 5 stars, okay? This one was fantastic. This one, I really did not guess who it was going to be till it was right there, like until Lana figured it out. And it was so good. I really liked this one because she really threw us for a loop. Someone is introduced that we've heard about since the first book, but I never assumed that I would ever meet them. We get another new character who I'm hoping that we will see for the rest of the series because I really, really like her. Still obviously love Megan, love Lana. Adam is cool, I guess. He's her boyfriend, and you know, he's doing good. He's a little bit more understanding. But this one was really good. So basically, Lana and some other people cater a party for Donna. And Donna is the wife of the first person with some drama in the first book, okay? And Donna, since she lost somebody from the first book, because I'm not gonna say, has been really going through it, okay? She's rich, but she has a lot of like appearances to keep up. And she's kind of cracking a little bit. And at her party, she has a blow up. A lot of people are beginning to like fuel the gossip more about her. But then as the party is winding down, her nanny is found dead in the pool. And of course, everyone's gonna go for Donna. Donna enlists Lana's help because there's something else that's going on. I'm not gonna tell you. That's the part that I was like, ooh, that's exciting. She enlists Lana's help to try to clear her name because she insists that it's one of the ladies in her like upper crust society group who are trying to do this to her. And through it all, Lana has got to figure out the crime. And even she at one point feels like, I don't know if this is too much for me. Like, I don't know if maybe I should keep doing this anymore. But in the end, it was actually really, really good. I just got a bunch of the other books. So there's 8 books in total in the series so far. The most recent one I think came out this year, and I bought all of them because I got some free gift cards from work, so I was really excited. And yeah, this is 5 stars. I loved it. I will never stop talking about and never stop recommending this series. I think it is really good. I know that I don't have like a ton of cozy mysteries like under my belt that I've read, but I will say this is one of my favorites. Next up, I read it, bitches. Burnt Offerings. I finished it. So this was, you know, this had taken me a long time to get to. And I realized that the book that I accidentally skipped was Bloody Bones. I kept thinking it was Blue Moon. Basically, I accidentally skipped a book. Luckily, this is the next book after that one. But I thought that this other book, Blue Moon, was actually the one I missed. I was going to try to read them together. But in the end, I was wrong. And there was a book that I missed. But anyway, really good. Totally forgot about this one. Totally forgot about what happened. And okay, it's kind of like got me back into like beach, pick them up, keep on going, keep on going. So a few books back, there was a master vampire that showed up in St. Louis. That is the town, city, whatever, that Anita and everybody's in. And he was from the Council of Vampires that had been around for however long. And he was trying to bring down the city because he doesn't want vampires to have legal rights. He wants a bloodbath. And that's basically where things are going in this like world, that people live with vampires. Vampires like have their own bars and stuff. Like it's kind of like a gimmick almost too, but they're trying to get rights. And he didn't want that. So that was a few books ago. Now, Anita and Jean-Claude and everybody in their entourage is kind of having to pay for the fact that that master vampire was destroyed, he was killed. And even though it was Anita who did it, how was she able to do it? They assume that it's Jean-Claude. So the council comes to St. Louis to try to either get Jean-Claude to be on the council and fill the seat of the council member that he killed, or kill him, because somebody in that group also thinks that he's trying to make his own vampire council in America. All the while, there are these fires that are happening across America, and they're starting to happen in St. Louis, and they don't really know what the motive is, but you figured that out later. So this is really the introduction to Anita being the healer or the heart of the group, okay? At one point in this book, everybody is tested by the council, who are just like awful, terrible vampires. All they want is destruction and death and torture. And she's there as everybody's rock, okay? That's when she becomes, you know, that girl. And I guess that's kind of like the trope of, I'm not like other girls, kind of, just in a different way. It's like Anita is so powerful in so many different ways that it's like, what can't she do? So it gets a little bit annoying. I'm going to be honest. This is the downfall as we start to go, especially because Richard, and Jean-Claude are trying to work together, but Richard is being an asshole. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. But in the end, this is still a good book. It was better than I remember. And I think I'm going to go back and read Bloody Bones, and then I'll continue on with the series, because I don't want to skip Bloody Bones. That one's really good because Anita is not with Jean-Claude or Richard in that book, and it's kind of nice. I did always like eventually when Anita isn't like near her boyfriends anymore, because it's not about hooking up, which that is about to be what happens from here on out. Okay, from here on out, it's sex all the time. Okay, and that's where you lose me. So good, like I remembered. Yeah, excited. Next, I read The Death of Avec Oge by Akwaeke Emezi. Short, really short book. This was a quick read. Honestly, I think even though I didn't read this in one sitting, I read this in less than 24 hours total. So very good. I think I rated this 4 stars. For a book that was so quick, I actually really liked it. And usually sometimes for books that are this like short, it's not like a novella, but like sometimes there are books that are short, that are novellas, that are you're like, I kind of wish that this had been longer. And that's why you might not have rated it that well, because it's like, I didn't hate it, but it needed more. This I felt like was the perfect size for a book like this. And obviously you already know what happens at the end of the book. Avec Oge dies. Okay, I'm not giving a spoiler away. But this book is about Vivek, their parents, their family, friends, the community as a whole, and just about like generational trauma, secrets, what it means to love someone unconditionally, what it means to accept someone for who they are, and like longing and love lost and stuff like that. Like it's a lot of stuff is in this book for a book that's under 250 pages. Yeah, it's under 250 pages. So Vivek is our main character. Like I said, you know that they die at the end, but you still kind of get glimpses into what they were thinking, and almost like they're talking from, I don't want to say from the grave, but you know, watching what happens after their death and kind of hearing from their perspective what's kind of going on. But see, I don't want to give too much away because it's very short, and it's, yeah, anyway, basically I did kind of figure out what was going on very early on. I knew how Vivek died. I knew why Vivek died. I knew. I think the relationship that was the most sad to me was Vivek and his mom. His mom doesn't know what happens, and her grief is so strong that it's hard to like imagine what it would be like for a mom to go through that, and then maybe to be able to go back and think, oh my God, like what were these signs that might have been happening, or what were these things that happened as they grew up that may have been something I didn't notice at the time, because Vivek goes through this kind of depression at one point because nobody kind of sees him for who he really is. The other thing that is a theme in here is religion and like religious trauma, and the way that like maybe instead of embracing organized religion, I don't remember what kind of religion Vivek's cousin's mother is. I mean, it's some type of Christianity. Instead of embracing something like that, embracing something that's more spiritual and true to you and not where you have to conform. So with all that being said, this is like a complicated book that was really, really sad, but also really good. And it's hard to call a book good when you already know that someone's going to die at the end of it. And when you find out the details of the death, it's also really sad. But yeah, I really did like it. I would recommend this book. It's really short. You could honestly finish it in one sitting. And yeah, I really liked it. So this was my first read that was by Akwaeke Emezi. There's another book by them that is recently new. I don't remember what it's called, but the cover is beautiful. And I've heard nothing but good things. So a lot of people have said it's their favorite book of the summer because it just recently came out. And I think it came out in June. So hopefully I can pick up another book by Akwaeke Emezi. We shall see. I'm pretty sure one of their books is actually on Hoopla. So we shall see if I pick another one up in the month of July. And last, one of the best books I read in the month of June, although, you know, the circumstances of it, not ideal. And that was the new Handbook of a Post-Roe America, The Complete Guide to Abortion Legality, Access, and Practical Support by Robin Marty. So, as I mentioned earlier, the month of June, or May, I can't even remember at this point, we saw a draft leaked by the Supreme Court where it looked like they were definitely going to be overturning Roe v. Wade in the month of July. It is July, and it did happen. And that was really hard. It's been really hard since that news has come out. So yeah, when the news broke about the draft, this is one of the first books that popped up on my For You page on TikTok. And I was like, holy shit, I just bought this book at the beginning of the year. So wow, fate. Am I right? But a sad fate. I will say though, this was a fantastic book. Very informative, which you know I like. Are there, like I've said before, are there things that I already know when reading this? Yes. Doesn't matter to me. I want to read things like this despite like being aware of like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, because there's so much more in it as well. There is a documentary on HBO Max called The Janes. We kind of touch on that in this book as well. There's lots of resources in here. It's very educational in terms of like which states would have, you know, had their trigger laws come into effect immediately, which we saw happen. Which states would be not the safest, but like you're probably gonna be fine, and then like where the kind of gray area was. So like Virginia, where I live, it's kind of like that. I believe it was 2020 where they took a lot of that stuff away, which is thankful. So we didn't have any crazy trigger laws that happened when Roe v. Wade was overturned. But recently, Youngkin did say that he wanted to try to decrease our, you know, window of opportunity to get an abortion from 20 weeks to 15. Obviously, what does that do when you take away 5 weeks? I mean, it's not actually viable at 15 weeks. It's the size of an apple, the fetus. It could not live outside of your body. It couldn't survive. I don't even think it could survive in a type of incubator at that point. 20 weeks, also kind of iffy. You know, it's still not that much bigger. It's only 5 weeks ahead. So yes, what does it mean? They're just shortening the window and making it harder for people to deal with their unwanted pregnancies in a timely manner, make appropriate decisions, be informed, all that good stuff. So that was really frustrating. Very, very, very sad. Anyway, so with that being said, there's also some stuff about like You know, there's been like on Twitter some information that's being put out about like herbs to use. Now, the nice thing about this is that some of those things were mentioned, and it was also said like, hey, don't do this necessarily because these could be the results. So, you know, I think the thing that we saw on Twitter is that a lot of people were, I'm not going to say overreacting. It's not overreacting to be mad and scared, but I think some people were jumping to give all this information out without thinking about how it would affect people and not being properly researched. Like just a quick Google search. You might need to do a little bit more than that if you're going to be looking into herbal situations. And then we talked some more about like what the first tools were that the Janes used, like how that evolved. And I really, really like that about this book. I think during the month of June, it was kind of nice to read something like this. Unfortunately, I do feel like I got my hopes up and got a little, you know, hopeful that some things weren't going to happen, but they did. But you know what? I'm just going to remain mentally strong as much as possible. But I'm very fortunate. You know, I still am able to access birth control. So good for me. My husband is hopefully going to be getting a vasectomy soon. You know, we're just, you know, getting into the process of reaching out to people. And I feel very fortunate for that because there's a lot of people who did not have that same type of supportive response from their spouse, from their family even. And, you know, I just want to say, like, I'm sorry if you've experienced, you know, people in your life, whether it's people that you really love, who are very close to you, who either didn't care about what happened, didn't acknowledge it, maybe even came out and said, like, I'm happy with this is good, were dismissive in some way, or, you know, maybe you and your family benefited from having an abortion at one point, and then your spouse, who is on one hand saying, no, I think this is great, doesn't understand, like, actually, this medical procedure that I had to have to save my life was an abortion. And, like, that's just what it is. Like, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? I feel very lucky because the bubble that I have around me, I didn't experience any of that. I don't have a lot of men in my life, but the men in my life, like my dad and my uncle and my husband and my friends, posting in support of those of us who are going to be affected by this. And then everything else to come. Gotta love that. But anyway, if you'd like to read this book, I would recommend it. It was 5 stars. It's very short. It's under 300 pages. You know, at one point I stopped annotating. I think I just got really depressed. But it was really, really good. Robin Marty also wrote a book before this that was not the new handbook. So this one came out after the fact. And I think that it was written like a few years ago, you know, I guess with the mindset that like, hopefully this wouldn't happen. But yeah, now this one was really like, obviously I haven't read the other one, so I don't know how different these are, but like this one really went into detail of what was going to happen, what we were going to see happen, what you can do if you really want to volunteer, and not necessarily volunteering at a clinic. You know, get in touch with networks, in your area, which they talk about in here, that already have a system set up that you can lend your support to, whether that's gas cards, maybe transportation, maybe, you know, housing someone if they need to travel to another state. But with that being said, another thing is tap into these organizations that already are well formed, okay? They already have the resources, they have the knowledge, they have the experience. Look for those things instead of trying to start your own thing, you know, the whole, I can take it camping. No, deal with the professionals, please. And donate to the appropriate places. You know, Planned Parenthood has said, hey, we're good, we have enough donations. Find smaller organizations that are taking money, abortion funds in your area that you can support. So all that to say, it's really good. I didn't mean to go on a rant again, but there you have it. And I know that I said that I wanted to finish Foundry Side, but I did not. I've made it about 50% of the way through. I realized that I did not remember anything from this book. I even forgot about Clef, that is the key, okay? And, you know, kind of important to the story. Kind of the most important part of the story. So honestly, I've been taking my time. I know that my plan had been to finish this and then start Shorefall, but that is not what's going to happen. Hopefully I can finish this in July and do what I wanted to do originally and start Shorefall, but I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush it. You know, it's been a long time since I've read like a big, you know, adult fantasy book. Even though this is a reread for me, I didn't want to take my time. You know, the font is tiny, okay? I'll just put my finger in there. The font is tiny, so you gotta take your time. And the one thing that I know that I will be reading in the month of July is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I took the desk jacket off. This came out in March of 2022. So in the month of July, I am doing a book club with my mother and my sister. We did this back in 2014, 2015, something like that. And we read for a really long time. We stopped doing the book club for a while, and when my sister was here recently for like a belated Mother's Day thing, we were talking about starting the club back up, and I'm very happy to say that we're doing it. My sister is basically done with the book already. She started it early. My mom and my stepdad are reading it together. They are, I think, like at the 200 page mark at this point, and I have not started it. So today is July 3rd, and I agreed to be like, you know what, y'all just read it early so I could give them a head start, just in case I finish this very quickly, because we all know that was part of the problem last time. Well, y'all don't know. That was part of the problem last time. We did it for like in month increments. Everybody has a month to finish the book. I would read mine very quickly. So yeah. We've got rules and I'm gonna stick to them, y'all. So I'm excited. My mom said it's going kind of slow. My sister is listening to it as an audiobook and she says she really likes it, but she also said that it might have been more scary to read it. So I'm very excited to read this. I don't even know what it's about, but I'm ready. So thank you so much for watching my video. Are there any books that I mentioned that you are interested in? Anything that sounded really good? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think about our book club pick of this month of July? It was between this one and a Lucy Foley book, The Paris Apartment. I'd also never read Lucy Foley before. I haven't read Simone St. James. So I was really surprised that this one won like by a landslide damn near. I mean, on Instagram, nobody voted for the Lucy Foley book. I was like, okay, bitch, here we go. It's Simone St. James. But I'm excited. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please, if you liked the video, please like the video. If you liked the video, subscribe. Hit the notification bell, you know, so you can be informed of all the stuff that I post. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.